under our belt, we traveled east for about 2 hours by bus to the town of Pantucan in the Compostela Valley province. As in the other case of our travel up to the previous mountain, we had the pleasure of getting our adrenaline rush on taking the hobble hobbles, which are these old motorcycles that indigenous people drive for you. You're there with three or four other people with you on that motorcycle. These bikes were a little different this time than last time. They're a little bit more motocross with hard suspensions. Of course, that meant rougher terrain that we're going on and crazier driving. You'll see them there. So we climbed up for an hour and a half on these hobble hobbles, and we encountered things like huge boulders, bike malfunctions. I know my bike broke. I had to walk a little bit, and even flashes of heavy rains. By the time we got up to Barangay Gumayan, the town where we were meeting these indigenous people, the heavy rains came in and stranded us on top of the mountain. With no other choice, we sat down and we just ate and communed with these indigenous people, hoping by the time we were supposed to go back down, the rains would have subsided. And this is where we met the leaders, the indigenous leaders of Pantucan, a tribe more touched by civilization and educated than the tribes we were with a week before. So we were able to clearly interact and understand the plight of these people. Here we learned about their living condition and their living situation and their current conditions. Being in a place rich with high copper and gold ore, many of the livelihoods of the Pantucan people depend on these small-scale mining operations. However, with the aid of the national government, foreign corporations like Russell Mining Corporation have been able to enter land, which is their sacred domain, and research the mineral deposits there. And if things go according to plan, they extract the minerals out of that land. Let's see. Let me fix this a little bit. The serious environmental issue about this is the use of large-scale mining, and they use a technique called open pit mining, where whole mountaintops are leveled and destroyed to allow for quick mining of these mineral deposits. An extreme hazard to the environment, open pit mining usually, if not always, leaves the land unusable and unsafe to be around afterwards. It hit me home when we learned the very land we were standing on, that we got up there. In some of these pictures, this beautiful mountaintop was going to be leveled by this December. This is where people live, and that's where it really hit me that this is all going to be gone. We're talking about a mountain that houses 35,000 indigenous people, all who base their livelihoods around the land that belongs to them and their ancestors. 35,000 indigenous people that are going to be displaced, all for corporate greed, foreign corporate greed. And what's amazing is the national government has allowed this. Why? Because this place was remote, and it's far, and it's so many hours from Metro Manila. That they don't really have or are allowed to have a say in politics, national politics. It doesn't also hurt the Gumayan impact area, the place where we're standing on, that it is worth $24.8 billion in high-grade copper and gold ore, this little mountain we were on. I was particularly touched by the story of this guy that I met named Alex, a young, bright indigenous person. He was only 19. Here was a guy that was forced into this struggle against Russell Corporation. This place was his life, all he knew. This is where his family grew up. This is where his ancestors lived. And he was telling a story, like how he's not usually the type to go out and be vocal and be heard. And I really related to him because me, I chose to be an accountant because I'm a little quiet and I don't like interacting with people too much. So I really related to him. But his situation forced him to go out there, be in the front of the picket lines, start traffic brigades, and all these things to get the word out there that his people were being displaced. And you can tell he was really fired up about this, and he was really passionate about this. I was able to talk to him one-on-one after our big meeting, and he was just so fired up, and he was saying, if only I could get one of the Russell executives in a boxing ring and just really settle it there like I would. You saw that real passion, that kind of life or death kind of attitude. So it was hard to fathom that this land that I was standing on was going to be raped and pillaged just for some money. Leaving the land in ruin and not even a cent of the proceeds going to the Philippine people. It's all going overseas. Where we're at right now, all the missionaries, especially me, were really inspired to. Washington's just maybe 20 hours drive away, and I know there's plans coming up where we're actually going to drive up there and hopefully have peaceful talks with the mining corporation over there, and just, because these indigenous people don't have a say, and we're called to be their mouth, their hands and feet. Yeah, of course, it was a dire situation, but we also had our adventures on that day, visiting the Pansikan people and interesting things. Like, of course, all these things, bad things were happening, but when we got up there, they had a little karaoke arcade. The Philippine people love to sing, so of course they had one of those where they were at. When we were going down, we actually encountered flash flood rains. When we were going up, it was just bright as day, no clouds, but once we got up there, it started raining like crazy. And I like to think about, we're going back down the same roads that we had, and this big river just flowed through one of the streets. Just here's the street, and here's this river that's just flowing, just a flash flood river. And I was like, my mom would not be happy with what I'm doing right now in the Philippines, these adventures, risking my life. But yeah, so we had to get off our hobbles and walk around, walk through this river with a strong current. And it was just amazing because our team got really close. We're as young as 17 to old as 78, and all of us were crossing that river together. And it was definitely an adventure, and something that I really feel that the Holy Spirit led me to. It was a Holy Spirit-led adventure. Yeah, so that was my day in Pansikan with the indigenous people being affected by the mining. Next, I will be sharing in the next couple of weeks about the political prisoners that I met over there as well, and just what we can do as a congregation going forward. If some of you guys want to come with me next August, you're more than willing. We can fundraise together, and it should be awesome. So thank you again for all your support and prayers. It means a lot to me. Thank you.